What is up, everyone, and welcome to another edition of The Danny Show. I'm your host, Daniel Cody. This is where I give commentary and reviews on all things wrestling. Thank you guys for joining. Before I get started, let me send my condolences to the family of one of the Bushwhackers who unfortunately passed away early this week. Also, we saw a lot of crazy heel turns this week. Brock Lesnar delivering a brutal assault on Cody Rhodes, and Cody sells the F5 perfectly, by the way. And then on the next night, we saw Braun Breaker turn and attack Carmelo Hayes, showing no care for respect. And fun fact, Braun Breaker delivers great spears, number one. Number two, NXT has a heel couple because Cora Jade and Braun Breaker are together, which means they can make a good villainous couple on NXT. Just a thought. But let's get started with tonight's episode of Friday Night Smackdown as the Brawling Brutes Fight Night open up with Sheamus and Butch and Ridge versus Imperium. And I don't usually see Vinci do a springboard or anything high flying of sorts, but he did tonight. I thought it was really funny when Walter, aka Gunter, had Pete Dunne in a headlock, and Pete Dunne slapped his fingers, and Gunter was like, "Ah, get in here, my hands hurt." I thought that was completely funny. Nonetheless, we see a perfect 10 beats of the Balor by Sheamus, who will go on to win the match for his team. And I honestly think Sheamus needs to win an Intercontinental Championship before retiring. Just my opinion. I think he should win one. He really needs it. But we also found out that we have a match, a quick one, between Ricochet versus Ivar. And this match was very surprising to me because the results were very surprising. Ricochet attempting to hoist Ivar over his shoulders is like Top Dollar flying over the top rope. It's just something you can't do. But I know what he can do. He can deliver hurricanranas and shooting star press and win the match, which again was surprising to me because I thought Ivar, considering his size and strength, would win the match considering he's a super heavyweight. So this was indeed an upset that I did enjoy because I'm a Ricochet fan. We also saw Raquel and Liv in a SmackDown short take on Shotzi and Natalia, in which, first of all, they did not show this for whatever reason, but Wade Barrett got startled during Shotzi's entrance during commercial break. I wish we could have seen that. That would have been hilarious. Nonetheless, Raquel and Liv would win that match, giving them momentum for their Monday Night Raw match with Lita and Becky Lynch, which I think will be interesting. And also, LA Knight is not a big fan of superstars playing video games backstage. And a lot of old school legends are not a big fan of video games backstage. For me, do what works for you. That's not my place, but whatever works for you, work it. And also, we're going to see LA Knight versus Woods next week. Triple H comes out tonight, and I thought he was going to talk about, when he said there was a big announcement, I thought he was going to talk about WWE's rumor that WWE and UFC have signed a deal together and are partners. Is that true? I don't know. But rumor has it that WWE and UFC are going to become partners. But that's not what he talked about. He announced tonight that WWE is going to be doing a draft soon, which is a thing we do after WrestleMania. So that is understandable. So the question is, who's going to be on SmackDown this week? Now, in my humble opinion, it would be nice if Seth Rollins came to SmackDown. That way, I can watch Seth Rollins' entrance and not have to wait on pay-per-view or Daily Motion to show the pay-per-views to see how amazing Seth Rollins' entrance is, because there's nothing like watching Seth Rollins live. and the fans, because the fans just made it awesome. The symphony is awesome. We have also during the match, triple during the segment of the draft announcement, Triple H announced Rhea Ripley coming to the ring, and she got a mixed reaction until she started demanding rising. Then everyone starts booing. And it's interesting that Rhea Ripley, I better not go there. It's interesting that Rhea Ripley led all the Judgment Day to the ring because Rhea Ripley is the only one of the Judgment Day that won at WrestleMania. I mean, obviously, Finn Balor got his butt kicked by Edge despite being Demon. And of course, Simp19, as I like to dub him, got defeated by the master of the 619. And all they did tonight was win, win, win. In fact, Michael Cole said he wanted to call them a bad word in Spanish. And I believe that bad word is the B word, which in Spanish starts with the letter P. Let's just say it's a bad word that rhymes with the great Muta, the great Muta. But it's a Spanish word that rhymes with Muta, but it means B word in Spanish that I will not repeat. That's what Michael Cole wanted to call them. Nonetheless, we had the LWO, the new generation version of the LWO, Rey Mysterio and Legado del Fantasma with Zelina versus the Judgment Day, Damian Priest, and Simp19. And of course, the 619 move that Rey Mysterio was about to perform was ruined by Rhea Ripley, the new women's champion, and Zelina Vega does a Hurricanrana, and then they play Tom and Jerry, which I think Zelina won. By the way, I used to love Tom and Jerry. Show was the old Tom and Jerry was hilarious to me. But don't try this at home. But nonetheless, Judgment Day would win when Santos was unaware that Damian Priest was legal and would choke slam, South of Heaven choke slam Santos. Now, what was interesting is if you paid attention, if you saw my Saturday review of WrestleMania, you know I wondered what would Damian Priest think of Bad Bunny interfering. That choke slam through the table this past Monday says everything. Nonetheless, we have good news. Shinsuke is coming back next week. The only thing is he's coming back without Pat McAfee because Shinsuke coming to the ring while Pat McAfee is dancing on top of the announce table is just awesome, and we won't get to see that. But it was great seeing Pat at this year's WrestleMania. But let's get into this main event thing. So earlier tonight, Sami Zayn was talking to Kevin Owens, and Kevin told Sami talking to Jey Uso before the match was a bad idea. Is it just me, or does Jey Uso have new tattoos of palm trees? Because I haven't seen that before, but I think Jey has new tattoos, if anyone knows. In any event, but also, speaking of noticing things, I think Dominic Mysterio, aka Simp19, is growing a mustache. And it's interesting, everyone is growing a mustache lately. Mr. McMahon is growing a mustache, which I did not know it was possible for a McMahon to grow hair to grow a beard. I thought that was totally impossible, but I think I'm growing a little bit myself. But in any event, I mostly just want to grow a goatee like The Undertaker in 99. But in any event, everyone's growing mustache, and I think Dominic is trying to grow that little chin hair that Eddie Guerrero used to have because he has a mullet that looks just like early years Eddie Guerrero, let's be honest. In any event, I still think he's Simp19, and I'm going to keep calling him that until he goes face. But in any event, tonight's main event was Sami Zayn versus Jey Uso. Unfortunately, Sami didn't listen to Kevin Owens and talk to Jey, which set up an attack for Solo to crush Kevin Owens' leg, and now his ankle's injured. And just now, Sammy's got to go at it alone. And the numbers game proves to be too much for him. Solo comes to the ring, and Sammy would eventually lose the match because Solo interfered just like he did at WrestleMania. What we did not expect was that Matt Riddle, after the ambush by Solo and Jay Uso, we thought Jay was going to stop it, but he was in on it. So after the handicap beatdown, Matt Riddle comes to the ring to save them, fighting off Solo and Jay Uso. Now, if you remember, Riddle was put out of action from a scripted standpoint by Solo Sequoia. However, it was rumored that part of the reason he was written off television was so that he could rehab. I don't know if it was pain or some type of drug addiction, but whatever it is, apparently he has rehabilitated himself and he is back on the night after WrestleMania to go after Miz and now saving Solo. Which leaves me to think that this Monday on Raw, Solo's going to get involved with his match against The Miz, and The Miz will probably get a much needed victory because he's been getting his butt kicked by everyone lately. That's something we wish would happen to the less famous Miz, MJF. But he's the champ, so that's not going to happen anytime soon. But in any event, or what's going to happen is Riddle will win this past Monday and then Solo will attack. But either way, Solo is coming for Riddle. We know that prediction to be true. Nonetheless, that's my thoughts on what happened tonight on SmackDown. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, what you think about this episode of Friday Night SmackDown in this review. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm your host, Dan Cody. That's all the time I have for you today. Happy Good Friday, everyone. I'll be back with another review on all things wrestling soon. Have a great weekend.